So we're going to first of all look at the overseas test in detail. The overseas test in detail is saying, first of all, whether or not an individual is automatically overseas resident based on how long they've spent in the United Kingdom. And this will differ depending on whether or not this individual has lived in the UK before, whether or not they have that kind of connection with the UK. But as I said, where there's a rule, there's an exception. So let's have a look at this first exception, which is called the deeming rule. And this is when you are deemed to be in the UK, even when physically you are not in the UK. And this applies to some individuals who are available to come into the UK and go home to their own country, or the country that they are living in, without spending a midnight. So say, for example, somebody maybe lives in France, or maybe in Brussels or Amsterdam, or even as far-flung as sort of Italy and Spain, when you can maybe take a flight that's only a couple of hours. You can come to the UK and be home such that you're not going to be in the UK at midnight. So if you've got all 5 of these elements, your day will not be counted under the statutory residence test, and it can apply either to somebody who is in the UK and being prevented to leave, but sometimes it can also apply to an individual who's overseas and being forced to return to the UK. So, for example, if a gentleman was overseas and his family were living in the UK, and his wife had a life-threatening illness and he had to come back to look after their children and to look after her, that will be an example of exceptional circumstances.